Do you want to know how to plan so as to achieve your goals? Or you have been trying to plan sometimes but you have not been able to execute your plan, or you felt that your plan was very ineffective? I am Amalan Das, educator, motivational speaker and an author. I am also CEO of an NGO helping the student community. Today I will discuss from my time management book which I wrote for the students about what is planning all about, and if you don't plan then what happens. I will also tell you how to make an effective plan which actually works. And at the end, I'm also going to tell you about what is a balanced plan. Before we go ahead, you can see my previous videos on the 4 attitudes of time management and what does time management exactly mean. We learned in those videos that time management is not about doing a lot of activities within a limited time. Rather, time management means to invest our time into priority activities. The essence of time management is in planning and prioritizing. So now let me tell you about what do you mean exactly by planning. So we know that we cannot control the time. Neither we can stop the time, nor we can store the time. Only thing which we can do is before the present moment arrives, we can be ready, prepared beforehand to invest that time into a set of activities which we have already planned for. So planning is an act of conscious choice to invest that time into a set of priority activities. Now, what if we don't make that conscious choice to invest that time into those activities? Then we will simply waste that time. If we have not planned previously about those set of activities to invest the time into, then we will think about what to do with that time and it will go away. So in order to plan, you have to make a list of activities, and definitely those are the priority activities which will help you obtain your goal. Now, how do you get those priority activities? You get those priority activities because you have certain goals to chase. So even before you start planning, you need to have certain goals or targets in front to achieve. I always say this to the students that if you study without any specific goals, it's exactly like driving without knowing the destination where you want to achieve. If you do not know the destination where you are going to reach, certainly you will reach nowhere. In the same manner, if you start studying without having any specific goals or targets to achieve, what will you achieve? Nothing much. In order to plan, you need to have the goals. What you can do is, you can have a monthly target or monthly goal to cover certain syllabus. So let's say subject 1, this much amount of syllabus, subject 2, this much amount of syllabus, subject 3, like that. Then that monthly targets you can divide into the weekly targets. Okay, in order to achieve those monthly targets, in this week I can cover in subject 1 this much amount of portions, in subject 2 this much amount, subject 3 this much amount. And then you can have the daily targets. When you make your daily targets, don't plan for the amount of content you will study. Rather, you should think about the amount of hours you will surely dedicate in order to cover that portion. So let us say you fix around 8 or 10 hours every day to cover your syllabus. So when you start studying on a particular day, before that itself you are ready with a plan. That I will have 8 to 10 hours of studies. In that 8 to 10 hours, I'll study subject 1 for say 2-3 hours, subject 2 for this many hours, subject 3 this many hours, etc., like that. So you already have that plan. When you start dedicating that amount of time for that particular subject, you already know that you need to achieve a certain target. But you also are flexible about how much portion of the syllabus you will cover on a particular day. Because you can only learn a subject when you get absorbed into that learning. If you all the time have the pressure that I have to complete this much portion, this much portion, this much portion, you will not be able to absorb yourself in learning. And if you have no time foundation at all, you will not know whether you are achieving your targets or not. So now let's talk about how to make an effective plan. An effective plan will be that which you can execute and you continue achieving your goals. Now here is where most of the students make mistake. Why? Because they think that planning should be done only for your career or only for your studies. At this point of time, I want you to watch my previous video on the 4 dimensions of life or about work-life balance. There are 4 dimensions of life. Our life is not just one directional or one dimensional where there is only career dimension. If a student only plans for the career dimension, most often they are not able to execute that plan because other needs they come into picture which thwart this plan. Let's take an example. Say a student wanted to study for 8 to 10 hours and they planned for it. But if you have not planned for satisfying your emotional needs or for your physical health dimension, then due to poor health, you may not be able to spend that time. Or because of your emotional needs, you may feel lonely, you may feel worried, you may feel stressed, you may feel unhappy. And because of that mood not being right, again, you will not be able to utilize your time effectively. So what do you need to do to make your plan effective? You need to plan for different dimensions and different needs. In my time management book, on page number 58, I have shown you what is an ineffective plan. This is shown in your screen. So you can see that in this plan, there is only list of activities relating to career dimension. Most students are not able to execute such a plan. Later on in the book, on page number 88, I have shown you what is an effective plan. This is again shown on your screen. In this effective plan, you can see that a student is not just planning for activities related to career dimension, but also he has put meditation into the list, which means he will meditate and satisfy his spiritual and emotional needs. Similarly, the student has planned for spending some time on physical exercises, also on eating the lunch or dinner or breakfast at a particular time. Similarly, he has planned for reading a book, or he has planned for visiting a friend and having a light-hearted discussion to satisfy the emotional needs. And if you see carefully at the end, the student has also planned for reviewing and revising the plan in order to see that he has been effective in the day or not. Now we come to the last point about balance. So if you see, an effective plan is the one which needs to be balancing all your different dimensions of life. Dear student, you need to know that in order to obtain your goals in life, in order to obtain your career goals, you have to live a balanced life. If you're not living a balanced life, you will not be able to do the best. You will not be able to perform to your best. Even if you get some short-term result, it will be compromising your long-term happiness in return. So therefore, today you learnt about what is planning and what happens if you do not plan. And you learned that for planning, you need to have goals. I talked about the monthly targets, then the weekly and the daily targets and how to execute. Then you later learned about making your plan effective and also why it is very important to remain balanced in life in order to obtain one's maximum productivity or efficiency.